welcome to the Technical Staff and Theatre Workers podcast. It's the podcast in which I talk to people who work backstage in the technical theatre industry about how they got in, their experiences, and any advice they can give to anyone getting in. This is episode 6 of season 4. A big thank you to everyone who's downloaded the show, everyone who's listening to the show. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know who's interested in theatre and those who aren't interested in theatre, because it might make them interested in theatre. Yes, thank you so much for all the downloads. It's been really good so far, so really enjoying it. And without further ado, let's get on to our next guest. I'm with my guest at this time. If you'd like to introduce yourself and tell me what your current job title is.
My name is Emily Collier, and I'm the Deputy Head of Lighting at Magic Mike Live.
Excellent. And how did you get into theatre?
So, I trained originally as an actor at East 15 Acting School, as many of us did.
As a lot of people did, yeah.
Before they got into backstage, and graduated in 2019, had the odd audition, and with no avail. I obviously wasn't a very good actor. And then I saw it on the Stage Jobs website. It was like an internship at a theatre in North London called Millfield Theatre in Edmonton. So I applied, went to the interview, got it, and started there September 2019.
Excellent.
And then we went into COVID in
March
2020.
The world shut down. Yeah.
Everything shut down. So then it was just a whole... So we had a few, it was like one-nighters in mostly. It was like just like a regional venue, really.
Yeah.
A lot of tribute acts, comedians, that kind of thing, dance shows, schools, things like that, and then panto. Right. And then after that, pretty much everything was getting cancelled. Yeah. So we just went into maintenance, painting dressing rooms, cleaning fixtures, all that boring stuff.
Oh, that's all right.
It was
something to do, especially
something
at that point.
To do, yeah. But it was a council-run venue. So then after my year ended, and we still didn't have a huge amount of shows going on.
Yeah.
They ended. My contract came to an end anyway.
Okay. And
then it was obviously COVID world, so I did like things like post office and all those kind of jobs. Went out to work with my brother, who's a locksmith, and did the family business thing for probably about a week. And then I worked in a secondary school, as their like performing arts technician, which was like, so I was in music classes. They had a production arts course, which is kind of unusual. I didn't have one when I was at school. Drama classes, music, dance, all of that kind of thing. Did their lights. And then I got a job as a venue tech at the Wickham Swan in High Wycombe.
I've been there many times.
Yeah, so I was there, not for very long. I think I started there in probably like maybe a September as well, like after the summer term at the school. And then I was there for panto, did like 6 months there, and then sort of started to look elsewhere because I was a bit bored of one-night comedians and things. And I started, then I had an offer from Life of Pi as a follow spot, which I did with Dando.
Right, yeah.
So I follow spotted there for a bit, and Sam took me over to Les Mis, and I follow spotted there for a bit.
Oh, Les Mis.
I know, we've all done it, we've all done our time.
Absolutely.
And then after that, I left Les Mis because I got full-time LX3 at Wyndham's.
Right.
So Life of Pi was still there then, and then it had Oklahoma, and then it had a couple of plays, and I left there in February of last year and went on tour with Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, cool. Yes.
But that obviously came to a quick end in May.
Yeah, it did. Strange one, that one.
Strange one. Good. I had a really good time, and I learned loads, because touring is probably the most valuable thing you can do in terms of learning lots very quickly. And then I feel like I've had a million jobs. And then I went to Standing at the Sky's Edge at the Gillian Lynn.
Oh, fantastic.
And I follow spotted there for the summer. Until I got Magic Mike in September. Follow
spotting is really useful, especially if you want to go into lighting, isn't it? Because you can do so many different shows.
And it's the best way to get into it. You can also dep, so you can do loads of different ones. Like Mormon, I've never follow spotted here, but I did do the desk here. Yeah. I covered for a couple of days in between when I was at Les Mis. But follow spotting is like the best way to get into lighting full time, because you get to know everyone, you get to know a bit more about the lights, and quite a lot of venues will have you in for maintenance. Yeah. So then you can learn about your movers and how things work, and go in that kind of way.
Excellent. So going all the way back to your internship.
Yeah.
So what was the first show that you were paid to work on?
Oh my gosh, the first one I was paid to work on would have been... So I was paid the whole way through, luckily, so it wasn't like an apprenticeship, it was an internship, so I was getting paid a wage. I think the first one I did was like... I like a Bon Jovi tribute act. And
Excellent.
And about the third show I did was Roy Chubby Brown, the
I
comedian.
love Roy Chubby. I follow spotted Roy Chubby Brown. Actually.
I follow spotted Roy Chubby Brown as well. It was like my third day, and I was like, "What is going on?" It's like he has like a big cult following almost, and he's
such a lovely man as well.
It was an eye opener for sure.
Fantastic. Excellent. Just a long list of jobs you've had.
I know.
So since you became, what led you to go into lighting?
I think so. When I started at Millfield, it was just like a venue tech internship. So I got to sort of try all of the things. Tried sound. You obviously do a bit of like stage management where you just put what time the show went up, what time it went down, and you sort of sit in the wings. And lighting as well, and it's just kind of the one that piqued my interest the most. Obviously, as a sound person, I'm not going to slate sound too much.
That's all right. You can slate sound if you like.
But like,
people don't like
it. You can't see the sound. But then people always say, "Well, you don't go away humming the lights."
Well, that's true. People
so
do say that.
It's a bit of each. But I love flashy, trashy, to be honest. So I love I don't know why, but I led into it more. And the person who taught me there, the head of technical there, was more into lights, so I sort of just kind of just followed his lead, really.
That way, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So, so as a woman in the industry, have you ever come across any issues in the industry, people holding you back? Naming no names, obviously.
No.
Or have you been quite lucky in that?
I think I've been lucky. It's definitely gotten better because I've been in the industry since like 2019 now, so we're like knocking 5 or 6 years. I would say there are more in regional venues. You get a bit of, "Oh, do you want me to take that for you, love?" Or, "Do you need a hand with that, love?" And I'm like carrying this sarge. He's like, "No, I'm fine." I don't really think I've faced too much. Like I say, more so in regional theatre, people expect women don't really know that much, or they can't carry anything.
Because it's also very much more the technical side of things. I think in the past has been very much more of a man's.
Yeah.
As I've said to people when I've interviewed people from wardrobe, and
exactly,
the wardrobe is more expected to be the women's side and the man's. So hopefully, it's getting more. It's
getting more balanced. Yeah, I think wardrobe and WAM, and quite often stage managers are females, and then more often than not in the technical side, sound, lighting, auto, all that kind of thing. It is still predominantly male, but I do think there's more of a balance, especially in DMT. When I was at Wyndham's, I think nearly all of the number 3s were female. Obviously, Dando and like lots of them were. So it's definitely becoming more balanced, and I know Booney, obviously, was really pushing for more women in the industry and more women in the technical roles and stuff, which is great. And there are definitely more now. We're fairly balanced at Magic Mike, I think. So I haven't faced too many problems, but there's the odd old boy who's set in their ways that would make a comment, or
especially in regional theatre.
Or you get called darling or whatever. And
they don't mean bad.
It's not malice, I don't think at all.
Absolutely not.
No, I don't think it is.
Yeah, it's just a thing.
Just old-fashioned, isn't it?
Absolutely. So what would you say are the pros and cons of the industry?
So the pros are, I think, for all of us that work in this industry, you really love it, otherwise you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So most of us love theatre or musicals or music or whatever kind of branch you're in, whether in live events or whatever. You've got to love it. And I do love theatre, and it's obviously you're entertaining the masses, which I think can be like a really fulfilling thing. And when you're in tech and then you get to the end of it and something looks great, it's like really fulfilling, and you're like, "Oh, great, I'm really pleased with this," and it's fun. Yeah. And it's very social as well within that industry. But then the cons would be you are working really unsociable hours. You are off when everyone else is at work. Yes. And then you're working when everyone else is off, so you don't get your weekends, you don't get your evenings.
And your holidays.
And your holidays are difficult as well. Like you get your, 28 days? Kind of the same as any job, but it's just not your holidays in terms of Christmas and things like that. Yes. Bank holidays, you always have to work those in any theatre job. So it makes it hard if your family or friends or partners or whatever are not in this industry, because it's really difficult to see them. Yes. I think that would be the main con for me.
Another thing that people don't realise is that we get 28 days or 30 or 32 days or whatever the contract is, but we work 6-day weeks.
Exactly, yeah.
And people don't realise. So if you want a week off, you have to put 6 days worth of holiday in rather than just 5.
Exactly.
Normal people. Just
regular
what other
jobs,
industries would do.
Exactly, yeah. So that would be really the only drawback for me, I think, would be the time, like weekends and evenings and stuff like that. if you want to meet, like your friends will say, oh, do you want to go for a drink or do you want to get dinner on this night? And I'm like, I can't do any of those nights.
Yes, and you get summer and people having barbecues and things like that.
Yeah, I have to miss one of my friends having a baby shower, but I have to work, so I can't go to that. Yeah, I feel like you miss out on a lot of things, but so you've got to really want to do it and love it to kind of sacrifice the other things.
Yes, absolutely. So what would you say is a common misconception of anybody who's trying to get in the industry? Being, I know you've been in for nearly 6 years, but relatively new in the industry. What is a misconception? What do people think when they're trying to get into the industry that the industry is that it's actually not?
I think people think it's really, really hard to get into the industry, and you do need to have a skill set to get in, but more than anything, I think you just need to be willing to learn, because everyone starts from the bottom, really. Yes. Everyone starts somewhere, so you've got to learn. So I think maybe people think it's really hard to get in, and you don't know anything, but people are always quite willing to help you and teach you, I've had so many teachers, and I'm still learning stuff now, even about the show I'm on now, or about certain things, elements of the industry. So I think it's probably just that it's hard, and also people think the West End is the only place, and there are so many fringe theatres, or theatres above pubs, or they're so regional. There's so many other things regional that you can do. Touring. Like to get into, you can go to your local Amdram group and start there. You don't have to go straight in at the West End, and no one does. Everything builds your experience, and actually, if you go straight in at the West End, you're kind of missing out on a lot. Yeah. Like you said earlier, touring teaches you so much. Yeah, I was so glad because I did a tour kind of. Not that long ago. I was already a number 3 in a West End venue at that point, but I noticed there were gaps in my knowledge that I probably should have known as a number 3. And obviously, from the knock on with COVID, a lot of people left the industry, so there were more spaces for less experienced people. And I was thinking, okay, I really need to up my knowledge and my skills here. So if I go on tour, you're throwing it in and out in a week, so you just kind of learn as you go, and it was massively helpful. There's not always somewhere to, if something breaks, there's not somewhere to send it back to and get a new one. You have to learn how things work. Fix it. What's quite an interesting thing you said there was after COVID, a lot of people left the industry, and that's true. A lot of people didn't come back after COVID, which did open up jobs for newer people to come in, which is great, but it also took away quite a lot of people who could teach. Exactly. The next generation, as it were, of people. And that is something that people it's still a struggle in the industry. Some people aren't willing to teach, and it's not a teaching job. So I guess you don't have to. You kind of come to work, you do your show, you go home. But having somebody and people that are willing to teach you is massively, massively helpful, because how are you going to learn it without... You can read all you want, you can read the manuals, whatever, that's never going to teach you like a person can teach you. And you can come out of college having hung 5 par cans on a bar and claim you're a lighting designer, but it doesn't make you one. It's exactly that. There are hundreds of lighting designers that graduate every year. Yes. But I didn't train in tech, so that's probably another misconception, is that you need to have gone to university and got a degree in lighting, or got a degree in sound, or production arts, or whatever, but not... more so people do now, but people older than I am, I'm 27 now, but people generation above me, loads of them didn't go to uni. Oh, yes. They've just, jumped on it, and then they've learnt as they go. So you really don't need a qualification to do it. You just need to be willing to learn and willing to put the work in, and then... You need to have a passion for it. Passion for it, and also... Don't be a dick. Yes, don't be a dick. Swear. And that leads on to my next question. What advice can you give to people who are trying to get in? It's my number one piece of advice is, don't be a dick. And also just be nice to everyone, because in this industry, everybody knows everybody. Yep. It's such a small industry, especially West End. People know everyone, and I've even had messages from people saying, oh, this person's applied for a job in my department. What are they like to work with? Yes. It's not necessarily your skill set. It's whether you're willing to learn, willing to take criticism, and willing to work hard and learn all those things. Willing to take criticism. That's a very good one. And sometimes people get quite defensive about it if they get criticised. It's like, you don't know everything. You're 25 or whatever. Criticism is... and teamwork, all of those things. And it's not personal. Criticism isn't personal. No. At all. Never. It's just trying to make you better. So if anything, criticism is a good thing, because then you learn how to do something in a more efficient way, or whatever. So I think my main piece of advice would be go for it, because it's a great industry to be a part of, but just be nice to everyone, be open and willing to learn. You don't know everything. And that would probably be it.
perfect. And that's everything I've got. So thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. A big thank you to Emily for that one. Enjoyed that chat there. It was really nice to talk to somebody who had only got in the industry just before the pandemic. Obviously was a performer before then, but yes, really interesting chat. Thank you so much for listening to this. Thank you so much for downloading it. It's been really great, really loving it so far, and long may it continue. Thank you to all the guests that have been on, and I shall see you all next week.